So I never really listened to music when I was growing up. Like I liked some songs, but when I was growing up, it's like pretty much for the most part just listening to Minecraft song parodies. I was really listening to like some of like the more like emo rock stuff that was like popping up on YouTube. So like My Chemical Romance and even more like poppy stuff like Maroon 5 or Fall Out Boys, right? That was kind of like my lane. But predominantly, if I was to listen to music, it would be Eminem and 50 Cent. That's all I listen to. And it wouldn't even be like, oh, I fuck with Eminem's albums. I fuck with 50 Cent album. No, no. It was like only like a few hit songs or like popular songs with like Eminem in particular. I knew I never liked Not Afraid. I think that song is ass, and I still think that song is dog shit even to this day. But like, I would remember listening to like The Way I Am and like My Name Is when I was young, and I was like, yo, this dude is tough. Also, I love Rap God. Rap God is a horrific song. That song should be locked away in like the Chernobyl shed made out of metal that basically cacophanizes that whole section. Bury, bury any existing copy Rap God in that bitch. But yeah, that was kind of like my relationship with music. I would definitely say I was not listening to music at that time, and if I was, it would only be those exceptions. Oh, I would also fuck with WWE theme songs, like when wrestlers walked in, because I was a big WWE fan. But that was it. Um, that was all the music that I listened to voluntarily. And it wasn't until I was in the eighth grade. I'm gonna repeat this. It wasn't until I was in the eighth grade, about to enter high school, when I started listening to music. Like, seriously. By seriously, I mean just like actually like clicking on a song, was like, oh, this sounds good. I want to listen to this. And you know what it was? It was like I was watching an RDC skit. Shout out to RDC. They've been in the game for so long. But I was in eighth grade watching an RDC skit. It was primarily the J. Cole skit, right? The ones that they have like year on year, where it's like Jermaine Lamar. It's a classic. I think everyone knows about it. I was watching that RDC skit, right? And I was internalizing it and I was laughing at it. Although I never like really listened to J. Cole, I don't even know who the fuck he was. I was like, yo, the skit funny, and like I was able to interpret like his type of music from just watching the skit. And then I remember I was in class. I remember I was in class in eighth grade, and somebody had asked me, I forget how the conversation started, but someone had asked me, they were like, yo, who do you listen to? And keep in mind, I didn't listen to no music at all. So, like, what the fuck my answer was supposed to be. Now, at this time, and still to this day, for some reason, I'm just like a pathological liar. Like, and I mean, like, I dead ass mean that. Like, especially back in the day. Like, if someone would have asked me, like, yo, why are your shoes inside? Instead of just being like, oh, I didn't even notice, I'd be like, oh, no, I'm just walking around like that. I like the way it feels. I guess that's not really lying. I guess it's just like, it's not even like I'm lying. It's just more like, for some reason, I just can't admit, like, the truth. Um, but somebody asked me, they were like, yo, who you listen to? And, you know, I wasn't just going to say, oh, Captain Sparkles. Nah, hell nah. Uh, So I just reactively said, "Oh, I fuck with J Cole," because I seen the RDC clip, and I'm like, "Oh, J Cole, he's tough. He does a lot of features." This was back in 2018, and right after I had said that sentence, right, I think like a week or something later, J Cole dropped KOD. This is in 2018. KOD dropped, and he dropped it on 420. And I remember I was like, "Yo, I gotta I should listen to this. Like people love J. Cole, like from what I'm hearing. So like I might as well listen to it. Like I have to now. So I click Spotify. Oh no, I download Spotify on my phone, and free trial, free version of Spotify is so horrific. That is such a bad application. Like you can't even at the time, and I still think it's like that to this day, unless like Adele shifted it, because I know there's like some change. But if you have the free version of Spotify, you go on an artist and you go onto an album. You can't listen to that album. You have to listen to it on shuffle play. And what it would do is like you listen to like one song, and then you'll get shuffled like three random ass songs, and then you might get like a random song off the album. It was just really weird. Side tangent aside, I download Spotify for the very first time. I go to J. Cole, I listen to KOD, and I'm gonna be 100% so dead serious. I did not like that album. I was like, yo, this shit sounds like ass. Like, I don't like this shit at all. But I was a big, big, big YouTube consumer, YouTube watcher. So after I listened to that album, there was like, on my recommended, there was like album reactions and reviews to the album. And I was watching a lot of them, and a lot of them were saying, "Oh yeah, this is this project J. Cole is attempting to do a concept album dealing with drugs and drug abuse. There's some really high highs on here, but then there's like some lows, and like the overall concept didn't get executed." And that's like a belief I nowadays I kind of agree with. But see, back then I was, in middle school. I was like 13 at the time, so of course I couldn't form my own opinion. So now when somebody asks me, like, let's say, April 21st, somebody would ask me like, "Yo, what you think of the new J. Cole shit? Yo, you heard the new J. Cole shit?" They wouldn't ask me. They'd just be saying it just in general. That's just like people asking around, like, "Have you heard of it?" I could now interject because I heard the album, and I would just force feed like one of those opinions that I saw online. And I would say like, "Yo, the album is ass, bro. I don't know why so many people waiting for it, bro. It's like way too overhyped." And like I remember vividly, I was in my art class, and like one of the kids, I forget his name. He was like, "Man, what are you talking about, bro? I stayed up all night waiting for that shit. That shit was so good, bro. That shit just going over your head." And he was right. He was right. KOD's actually a good project. Conceptually, if your life is stressful and you've resorted to drugs or some other type of outlet, I don't know if meditation is really gonna save you, but hey, man, that's what works for Cole. But yeah, that was my very first introduction to J. Cole, right? And I didn't like that album. I didn't like none of his music. By the way, his music that I listened to was KOD. But there was some songs on that album that I really liked. Like I really liked Kevin's Heart. I thought that song was super tough. And I remember I was seeing people's reactions to the album, and they were like getting hyped to like ATM and shit. So I was listening to ATM, and like honestly, I was just kind of like trying to force myself to like J. Cole, just so that like I could like fit in, or like I had like a topic to discuss, or that to make it seem like I was cultured, right? So I was listening to that, and I was like, okay, this is cool, I guess. Um, but then that was like the floodgate. It like opened up like the world of music, and I was listening to like people who were popping at that time. So I was listening to at that time Logic just came out with 1-800, and so I became a Logic fan to 1-800, and that song is horrific. That song is awful, and I'm not gonna lie, Logic's career is unfortunate because Logic it's I like Logic now. I love Logic when I was younger. And then like the second I like grew up to like have my own opinions or have my own tastes in music, bro, I despise Logic. It's terrible. His career follows such a crazy curve. It's insane. His new shit, like his indie shit, like College Days and Ultra 88, are really good now. I recommend for you guys to watch to listen to that. Same with Under Pressure. 1-800 horrific album, but I would jam in Logic heavy. And I knew I like bars. Like I knew I like bars. I knew I like lyricism. I like good flow. So that was really like the main thing. Like I was really listening to rap. Like, oh, can they rap fast? That's the only rap I like. And fast rap is different from lyrical rap. And I did not realize that at the time. So I would say, oh, I like lyrical rap, really just meaning, oh, I like when people rap fast. And I've grown out of that phase. So I was listening to Logic, still listening to like some Eminem. People who were popping at the time were like Post Malone. He just dropped Beer Bongs and Bentleys, and I think that's still his best project. And I was really jamming it, and I was like more melodic. And I was like, yo, this shit is tough. X was blowing up at the time. He also passed away around that time too. But I was getting deep into X. I loved Fuck Love. That song is great. It still holds up amazingly. That song is just so good. Who else was I like really jamming at that time? Um, yeah, it was just kind of like that, like generation, like a little bit of SoundCloud rappers and stuff. That's really who I was fucking with. And like I like the big hits too. Like I was just starting to get introduced to like Lil Uzi because that's when he dropped EXO Tour Life. Or he didn't drop it at that time, but it was like being listened to. So that was like J. Cole was my introduction to music, although I didn't like J. Cole at the time. But somehow, some way around that time, I downloaded Spotify on desktop, and when I was like playing Rocket League with one of my friends, I was on Spotify. I click on J. Cole, and I was like, well, I think I'm supposed to like J. Cole, but to be honest, I don't really like KOD. So I go on his Spotify and I look at his top 10 or top 5 most listened to songs, and like the first one is um, it's either Wet Dreams or it's what's that shit called? Don't save her. She don't wanna be saved. Don't save her. I'm blanking on the name. What is that shit called? Golly, that's that brain rot dementia coming in crazy, crazy, crazy. No role models. But yeah, like the top 5 most listened to J. Cole songs were like almost strictly off of 2014 Forest Hills Drive. So I started listening to those. And when I listen to No Role Models and when I listen to Wet Dreams for the first time, yo, my mind is blown. I've never heard music this good ever, bro. And I'm not gonna lie to you, no exaggeration. Besides like Ed Sheeran's Shape of You, I don't think I ever listened to a song so hard, so constant for such a long period of time before or after. Like No Role Models, that song was so fundamental to me back in 2018 when I was like young that like it completely shaped my palette at that time. Like I could not believe how good that beat was. The chorus and the hook, don't save her, she don't wanna be saved. Yo, that shit was legendary to me. I didn't even like the verses that much because he wasn't even like rapping that fast or like it wasn't even like super catchy. But he had like super hard one liners that I would like scream out. Came fast like 911 in white neighborhoods. Ain't got no shame about it. She think I'm spoiled and not rich because I can have any bitch. I got defensive and said, nah, I was the same without it. But then I thought back to a better me. You're like, come on. I think we can all repeat that song off the top of our heads. So from that point forward, I was like, oh, J. Cole is actually fire. He's actually lit. And then from there, that's literally the moment my palette started getting refined to now, fast forward to present day, I can say with almost with with strong confidence that I have, if there is such a thing, I have a good taste in music. Um, that was literally the pivot point. And you know what's crazy? Like year on year on year, like my appreciation for J. Cole grows like so steadily. There was a point in time when like JID kind of took over everything because I heard 151 Rum because that was the single that just dropped for DiCaprio 2. I was there when it first came out, and 151 Rum just like struck exactly what I liked at that time. Super fast, aggressive rapping, and I thought DiCaprio 2 was like peak album. Like I was so certain. I was like a JID super glazer. Keep in mind that I was like instilling like this small, pathetic ass like Spanish white boy type person listening to fucking JID, bro. Golly, I'm like the fans he don't want. But nah, that's really what it was. I say all that to say that J. Cole has been instrumental to me and my love for music. To the point that like if I never had that moment of listening to KOD, listening to the album, I would have never have sat here on this chair in this closet making music. And it's not like music is like a big thing in my life. Like making music isn't like something that my life revolves around. But I'm so happy to have it as a hobby. And I've made a few songs that I think I can play and be proud of, and that I can show people and they could say that they enjoy it and like it. And I've seen my music like have super strong reactions on people in the terms of like, yo, this shit is tough. And those are feelings and moments that I would have never gotten if it wasn't for Jermaine Lamarco. Anyways, um, you know, fast forward to a few years ago, I go to the 10th anniversary of 2014 Forest Hills Drive when he had that concert in Madison Square Garden. I made a video around it. It was like the first video I've ever made that's blown up. And so, once again, I have to thank J. Cole for that. I am a super big fan of Cole, and I've gone through all of his discography, everything, like dead ass everything. You know, I'm a Cole. Like dead ass is bad. My following statement, I say, hoping that I'm wrong. I hope with everything that I'm wrong, but I don't think the fall off is gonna meet expectations. You know, unfortunately, this has been a project that's been brewing and cooking for X amount of years. People have anticipated this for a literal decade. Um, and when you spend so long hyping something up, and when you spend so long working on something, cracks start to show. You become, you could have like an amazing 10 out of 10 song, but because you've been working on this project for so long, you hear that song over and over and over again, that you forget that, oh, this shit's probably not even that good. Or you might be saving songs just specifically for the album, and then like the album vision changes. I hope that this is J. Cole's best project, because the biggest failure, biggest pain point with J. Cole is that like he doesn't have a 10 out of 10 album. He doesn't have like an undeniable classic in the same way Kendrick or Drake or any of his other peers in music have. And that's true. While I personally think For Your Eyes Only is a masterpiece album, and I would give that a 10 out of 10, that's not universal. And you're going to that album for very different reasons compared to something like A Good Kid, Mad City, which is just universally loved and praised. So I don't believe the Fall Off will match that hype. And it's a damn shame. I wish it could. But I I made a reaction to the first song, the first single, and I love that song. That song is so good. My predictions for it though, I think it will be a dual disc album. I think the first disc is gonna be two things. Either that's gonna be like a concept album in the same vein of For Your Eyes Only, or KOD, or that first half of that album is gonna be a compilation of all the music that he wanted to drop, but didn't release, or that he saved for the fall off. And I think the second half of that album, and the second disc, is gonna be more introspective, kind of rapping about individual moments in his life and just talking about like how he feels about them now. He's probably gonna bring in the beef. Um, and you know what? He might just take a few shots at people, just to reclaim some pride or something. I don't know. But yeah, those are my predictions for the album. If you're watching this, thank you for giving me the privilege of your time. Take care.